Okay, all right. We got it going. So happy to be here. Whew. Had some app problems. And feel free to say hi in the comment box. I know there's some people out there waiting for me to get started. Oh my goodness, I can hear myself. Okay, so today I'm restarting up after a month vacation, and I feel like a lot's happened in the last month in the world. I mean, a lot's going on for us, right? And as humans and practitioners, and while I was in the middle of doing some kind of storytelling about Dujin Rinpoche's life, and I'm uh, ostensibly not finished with that. You can let me know if you're interested in going on with that story. Um, I would like to just sort of check in and see. I'd like to hear from you. If you're a practitioner of meditation or Buddhism, um, what, if anything, has been helping you cope with the situation that's going on right now? So I'd love it if you put that in the comments. And also, in this phase, as we're going along in this process that's been going on since late February, early March, we have different phases of response to that. What are you finding? What's the main thing that's kind of up for you right now? When applied Buddhism in practice deals a lot with emotions and our thoughts that lead to emotions. So it's totally appropriate to talk about, how we're doing, and right now. Sometimes anger is up, sometimes fear, sometimes sadness. Feel free to put in the box what's up for you if you feel comfortable doing that. So let me see now. So sometimes it pops up for me how many people are online and how many aren't. But oh yeah, here we go. One person and one thumbs up right now. It's not always accurate though, I find. Um, so I think I'm just going to kick it off by talking a bit about, because I don't know about you. What I've been seeing have been about us humans in this pandemic has been mimicking the four or five stages of grieving. And looking back at it now, I can see myself and other people going through um, this process. So, are you familiar with this? Kubler-Ross, remember her? I actually heard her speak. I was in a huge auditorium, felt like it was a stadium size, not quite. Um, a psychiatrist in the 20th century who um, really began looking at what the process is like when people experience a personal catastrophe. So we're all experiencing a catastrophe one way or another, right? Um, yeah, yeah. Okay, David. David's. Did you ever see her, David? Back in the day, she was a spiritual woman. She had some unusual spiritual beliefs that she was very frank about there being a lot of this talk about the other side and so forth. She used to talk that way. Yeah. So she told a story when I saw her of her husband had passed away, and she got she asked him before he passed to send some kind of message from the other side, and which we would probably call the bardo, right? And a temporary state, transitional state before the next life in our Buddhist framework. So she asked him to send a message, and she got some kind of phone call or message on literally message on her answering machine that made her feel certain. It confirmed her beliefs in an afterlife. Um, so it was kind of a wild thing to say to a stadium's worth of grieving people who. In addition, people, I think partly because of these kind of beliefs, picketed her. So I think I was in Chicago suburb or something seeing her. in the 80s, and that's something about Satan. I don't know. Well, anyway, so she was, she started talking about these 5 stages, and I'm just really seeing them, so I want to put this out here. Um, she said the first stage after, for example, if you have a death in the family, is denial and isolation, and there's that thing that we say in our minds: this isn't happening. This can't be happening. And I would say also, there's a feeling of unreality. If you're really something very serious has happened, in particular, unexpected, you'll feel like you're in a dream. Things literally seem unreal, which is amusing in a dark kind of way, because isn't that actually Buddhists, you know, are always training in the unreality of external phenomena, right? And yet, the most horrible times in our lives, when we're most immersed in suffering, and actually we feel literally like everything's unreal, and you become like an automaton, just carrying out whatever functions you have to do, like you're in a dream or you're a robot. People use these kind of words. It's a part of our. I don't know if it's all mammals, but definitely all humans, have this happen. And then what's next is, and it's not always in this order, but often it's anger. Um, like particularly like anger at the bearer of bad tidings. The doctor who told you that's that they couldn't save this, they or was unable to save this person. Um, but nowadays, so I'd go back to denial and isolation, and I'd say it's still going on. For some people, haven't moved on about beyond that level. Remember when people were literally in the first stages of the pandemic going out to hospitals and taking pictures of parking lots and saying there's nothing going on here because the parking lot is empty, and literally, and it's easy to fall into this because it's so it's in people are sick in hospitals, they're sick at home, they aren't painted purple and parading around on the street, right? So it's shut away from us, and and a lot of people are still stuck in this place of denying that we have a pandemic, or denying how serious it is, and so forth. They'll say it's fake news, right? Um, but most people, I think, have moved into the second stage at least, which is anger. And here we have people who are still, angry at the doctor. His Dr. Fauci is a public face of the pandemic, right? And he's now, we have someone, a big leader, who's saying, if you don't test people, then you won't have coronavirus cases. So that kind of thing is an anger response, and so you want to shut down testing so nobody tells you the news that there's a pandemic going on, and anger at the Chinese, like they're responsible because a virus came up in their um, country. And then, leftists, people on the liberal end of the scale, are hugely angry at Donald Trump. And it's not like there isn't any cause for that, but it also is in keeping with our emotional processing of this event. We would have had a pandemic whether or not Donald Trump was the president of the United States. It just wouldn't be as bad, theoretically. But a Democrat could have completely screwed it up also. Then there's the next stage after denial, isolation, and there's anger, and then bargaining. If only we had detected this back in December and gotten people working on a vaccine then. If only if only we'd done this and done that, then that's a kind of bargaining about the past, and there's bargaining about the future. If like, God, if you save, if you protect my family from this disease, we always care about ourselves and our family first. Um, or if you cure me from the disease when I have it, um, I will do X, Y, and Z. You know, I'll pray every day for the rest of my life. I'll devote my life to the ministry. That's a Christian version. But I have to say that we Tibetan Buddhists, you can see it. You know, David, you may disagree with me about this, but um, we have we did a lot in the subsequent weeks of the in the early weeks of the disease of this. If we do X number of 100,000 or 1,000,000 pujas for this invisible entity, that will, you know, that will satisfy the mamos, or will satisfy the 8 classes of gods and demons who are stirred up by environmental destruction. I did a lot of that, and I'm not saying it's invalid, but it's almost identical to the Christian form of bargaining. It's religious bargaining. And then, so if you protect me, I will devote myself to, you know, I'll go into a 3-year retreat or whatever. That might be a way of doing it. So then, at some point, we go into the depression stage, and depression is normal when you're grieving. Loss, you know, that word, you know, depression, sadness. When you have a loss, it's normal to be sad, and if you try to, you know, you can get bogged down and so forth, but if you never process the sadness, if you never work with the sadness in your practice and in your life, then you can get stuck there and not go to the next level, which is acceptance. And you know, Buddhism has this radical acceptance of impermanence that other religions don't place such an emphasis on. So, bottom line, really being present with what's happening, and without trying to deny it, raging about it, being swallowed up by uncontrolled depression, you know, doing kind of transactional stuff around making deals about it. Moving through those things, you can come to a place of acceptance. And about myself, I'd say I'm not 100% there yet. Many of you guys are 100% there. Throw a comment up, you know. I'm still in the sadness phase, I'd say. I've had some time off. I did a lot of, part of my bargaining stage was being super industrious. All the old projects I hadn't finished, cleaning this, cleaning that, working really hard on this weekly programs. And I think taking a month off from that, for me, allowed me to settle in and identify the sadness aspect. And of course, things have gotten worse. You're not at acceptance. Yeah. Me neither. So we can be here and sad together. It's I'm in California, in Oakland, and it's very bad in California. More so in Southern California, and more so for people of color, particularly Latino people. But that doesn't mean that it isn't all around us. Suffering. We don't put ourselves and our families first. And when we're Mahayana practitioners, we're concerned for all sentient beings equally. Right? So tell me, you know, has anything been, in terms of practice for you? I can share what's true for me, but if you want to throw up in the box, I know there's 3 people watching right now at minimum. What, you been practicing at all? And if so, in this phase, this might be your sadness phase, right? For a lot of people, I feel a kind of lull in the society. Um, what's working now for you? And working can be defined in a lot of ways. What would working look like? So I'd love to hear from you about that. I can talk a little bit about, I have the good fortune of having done a lot of solitary retreat and group retreat. And group retreat is harder for me than solitary retreat. Your body wants to just sit. Yeah, I feel non-industrious. I don't want to do fancy pujas that take a lot of labor. I can't believe people that are going online with these, teachers that are doing more elaborate things that require a lot of energy on a consistent basis. That's very amazing. I'm like you, Dave, and my practices are quiet. I'm enjoying, however, mantra. My own deity that I'm practicing right now. I do it classically when you're reciting mantra, and there's different mantra recitation styles for different phases in your development of your deity practices, or practices for us in Enigma that virtually all involve self-visualization as deity and developing pride or dignity in that. And I'm finding, so usually it's pretty quiet, whispered, or less, even mental recitation for mantra recitation in a sadhana. But I'm finding actually making a little bit more of a sound, or making sure that I do have a sound, feeling that resonate through my body. It's really healing for me right now. Not shouting it or anything, but just a little bit, so it's a little audible, and also doing it with the in and the out breath is very relaxing, soothing, and I kind of need that right now. We aren't, when we're practicing, our motivation, again, is not to benefit solely ourselves, but we are a sentient being, and we deserve our own compassion as well. So we're practicing for everyone. And in order to be able to do that, we have to be able to sustain ourselves. Right? So that's helping me. So some of the skills I've learned from spending a lot of time totally cloistered alone in the past, voluntarily, not involuntarily. I'm one of those people that's in pretty much strict retreat, very strict retreat. Which I won't say retreat. That implies I'm practicing all the time. I'm in strict social isolation. So what always helps me have a good life is to, as soon as I wake up in the morning and open my eyes, even before I open my eyes, is to open into a space that feels vast and unconstricted. To not start out with a fearful or distracted state. To when I try to be aware of that first moment of waking, and let my mind unfold in relaxation before I go anywhere, start my practice, or do my official practice, or do anything before the coffee. And another thing that's helpful that I was learned from David, I don't know if you know Josh or Rinchin Hayes, but when I went into 3-year retreat, he was coming out, and I asked a lot of people advice about how to cope. And he said, I do a lot of positive self-talk, and so it doesn't hurt to say to yourself, whatever situation you're in, and some people are all crowded in together, going out to work every day, and have a completely different external reality than I have, which is very isolated right now. But just to say nice things to yourself. And I can do this. Yudron, you can do this, when it seems really just too hard. So I really recommend that. It seems silly, and but it really works. And then feel free to you guys throw anything in the comments. That's what's working for you. Besides, David has suggested just sitting. It's really great. I'm really avoiding the violent TV shows. Sometimes I have it in me to be able to deal with, thriller, suspense, violence. Yeah. Hey, Rob. Rob says Nundro and Tonglen. I'm doing Nundro too. And I always do Tonglen in whatever bodhicitta section of practice. I just bring it in right there. We get to the bodhicitta section, and afterwards I do at least a few breaths of Tonglen. Tonglen, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, is a sending and taking practice. It's called. There's various styles. I know Rob has learned different styles of doing Tonglen. The breathing in, generally the suffering of all sentient beings, and you can focus on one. If you feel special, it's a compassion practice. One, and then bring in more people you feel love for. It's easy. People you feel neutral towards. People you feel you really don't like. And breathe in their suffering. Breathe it out into openness, spacious, freedom. Sometimes the light is dark. It's kind of a heavy, paranoid, sticky kind of feeling, but I use my own feeling, like sadness comes up right now, right? Sadness to remind me to practice for other people who are feeling sad. And our Lindro is our foundational practices. And I'm doing a new Nundro right now, actually. Done a lot of different Nundro practices. So, Rob, is there a particular part of the Nundro that's having more resonance for you right now in this situation? And what does it help with? And so I'm avoiding the violent TV shows at night. They really do have an impact on you when you wake up in the morning. So you want that seamless, you want to feed your morning state the night before by at least, even if you feel like you have to do something like that at night. Do something after it, right before you sleep, that's positive. Reading a positive book, or thinking about Buddha, that kind of thing. Feeling you can see Buddha in whatever form you like, the lights going out, really feel them. So all living beings sending kindness and love. Feel it absorbed into you, those golden rays of light. That kind of thing. And watch the whole ray, make it beautiful. Whatever you can do that will switch the gears from that freaky stuff where you're watching. And then again you sleep, and then you wake up into this and relax. Don't go right into your day, but open your mind, let it unfurl. And I find it good. One of my feelings right now is powerlessness. Are either of you guys feeling powerless? I know I'm completely alone in this. Not only we had this tragic story this week of this emergency room doctor from New York who killed herself. I'm sure she's not the only one. where she, and imagine how the healthcare people feel. I'm retired healthcare, so I can imagine very well. But not only them, but we, um, who can't control it, any aspect of what's going on, I feel sense of powerlessness. So what I've been doing is I pray for people, and I have a short list of people who've passed away, and I pray for them in their bardo state. I do practice for them, and try to make it personal. I have their name, you know, where they died, when their 49th day is. So it's one little piece that I can do that makes me feel like at least I'm putting, even though I don't have any special magical powers, at least I'm putting one drop of, kindness, positive wishes into this ocean. And so that helps me. And of course, we have to do all the life sustaining exercise, um, multivitamin with B vitamins for stress. And from me as an isolating in place, David, are you working or are you sheltered in place, or both? Um, I, who have all my activities are voluntary, making a to-do list, at least trying to check off one or two things a day helps feel less powerless in my own life. And then there's the loneliness thoughts. I just talked with Ergin Choang Rinpoche about this the other day. Um, it, it's normal. We're social beings, and it's not. It's not. If we start thinking ahead, if I start thinking ahead to a year, 2 years, whatever of this unintended self isolation, I could get pretty down about that. So I don't let the thoughts go on. It's okay to, because the future, we don't know what the future brings, except that it won't all be over tomorrow, unless I die. It'll all be over for me. So, David, you're working from home, yeah. So I don't have any structure to my day that's inherent, so I really have to structure intentionally. And that's true of a lot of, I think, of, I'm not immunocompromised, but retired people and immunocompromised people really have to structure somehow. All right. So you mentioned, David, the precious human life. Jeez, yeah. So that's a positive thought, akin to the popular gratitude practice, which has been very, very, very beneficial for people in a non-religious way. Just making note of the fact that we are alive. We've survived so far, and not only that, but we have met with the Buddha's teachings and can put them into practice and understand them and put them into practice. We have the liberty to do that. Beautiful. Okay, so I've been thinking that this is probably, I think we're about a half hour in, that it's probably, I've been, in my month off, looking at my statistics and stuff. A lot of people come for the talking part of my and watch afterwards the talking part. So I've talked for this whole half hour, and I've interacted with you guys, and instead of trying to intersperse segments of meditation and then go back and forth, because some people are looking for information, some people are looking for meditation. So I think we can go to the meditation part of our hour. And let's, why don't we pick up on some of the things that I've got some stuff to present, but first let's just let our body be erect if we can, and let our breathing be natural. We can keep our eyes open. If we're agitated, we're a little bit heavy eyelided, your gaze is going down a little bit. If we're sleepy, you can bring it up. Bring up the gaze. Look at the camera, Yudron. And just sit poised in a state of not following after those thoughts of what's going to happen, those regrets about the past. Setting aside any thoughts like, I'm not doing this right, I can't meditate. Sometimes it helps to put our imagine our consciousness is out here looking back at our own awareness. Bright, thought-free, present. And let's bring into our awareness all the human beings. What they're feeling right now. Scared or angry, lonely, sad. Maybe they're alone and sick. If it's too much for you to imagine, something just too overwhelming, you can pick another group of people with a problem that you think you can handle, that you can bear witness to. Breathing in, we breathe in all their pain, suffering. Breathing out, it's transformed into bright, present, spacious awareness. As their suffering diminishes and you've opened into a spacious, present awareness, let's imagine together we are the Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara or Chenrezig. White, and we're sending out lights of blessing and compassion to all living beings equally, and to the Bardo beings, so forth. Everybody, everywhere. There's no limit to the naturally arising compassion. And we can, if you wish, you can say the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Let's bring up this dedication of merit here. Through this merit, may all beings attain the omniscient state of enlightenment and conquer the enemy of faults and delusion. May they all be liberated from this ocean of samsara and from its pounding waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. Thank you for coming today. I'd love to hear from you how you'd like to see me what topics. I have a whole list of potential topics. I'm not short of them, but and would you like me to go forward with the stories of the great masters of the past, or focus on Buddhist principles? Or you're welcome, David. Thank you for coming. Or what would be most beneficial, or what do you think would also be beneficial to other people? Because I'm totally available. And you can throw in the comment box here if you want to talk to me privately about it. That's fine. I want to show you my prayer flags outside. Oh yeah, outdoors. There they are. It's a nice windy day. David likes the Lives of the Masters. Cool. Yeah, it's a way of creating a bridge for us, and remembering them is so uplifting in these hard times, at any time. And I'm that kind of person. I was, for many years, I was very, very involved with reading the Namtars, or the Lives of Liberation of the Masters of the Past. And because Dudjom Rinpoche has such a close connection to my Dudjom practices, it's been very special to go through that. So your wish is my command. I can pick up next week with we have discovery of the Vajrakalaya and Dorjidrola Termas in Bhutan, and the establishment of Lama Ling, and then Rinpoche coming to the west. And I also am involved in the Mochen Nyingtik tradition, and because it came down through Atum Drukpa, and I have stories like that. I've toyed with talking about my actual late lamas, but I think it's still too sensitive for people. So, but I'll have to mention Lama Tarchin because he was at Lama Ling in the 40s and 50s. So, yeah. Then these Namtars are called Lives of Liberation. What are they called? Lives of Liberation, Namtar? Tarpa's Liberation. And they inspire us and egg us on to do more and more. So it's beautiful. And become, and they show that it's possible. This is possible. All right. Well, thank you for coming, you guys. And I'll hope to see you next week. Take care now. Bye.